All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome here to the Homestead Miami Speedway for our final points paying race of the season. This is going to be big. This, ladies and gentlemen, I'm actually very excited for this one. I hope everybody's getting their weekends off to a really great start, because we're about to get this weekend started off with a bang as we're getting ready to figure out our 6 drivers that will make up the championship race here tonight. Onward to setting the starting lineup right after this session. I don't even know where else to really go with that, but man, it's gonna be awesome. And we're looking forward to it, and we hope that you are too. Literally, this is our 4th championship weekend. I mean, that's all when it just boils down to the points. But again, we have to remind you that after this weekend, we still have to make up the Coca-Cola 600 on Veterans Day, Tuesday, November the 11th, and then 4 days later on the 15th, that would be a Saturday on that same week, that will be our final race of the season. That will be at Pocono. And then we'll be done with the 2025 season officially. But for points, this is the last points paying race of the season, and we are moving on with the championship race as scheduled. First car on the racetrack, that was Ryan Gundillo. He just put down his first lap, which was a 30.580. A 35.82, that is for Janiah Hill. Now, a little fun fact here for Janiah Hill, and as well as Bobby McGuire. Of course, Michigan International Speedway is their home track, at least one of their home tracks. But ever since moving down here to Florida back in February, late February, they now have 2 home tracks, Daytona and also Homestead, right here in Homestead, Miami. So hopefully tonight is a little bit of a home track advantage for them, hometown advantage, if you will, as they get ready for tonight's events here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. A 388 for Ryan Gundillo, so these times, of course, are just getting a little bit faster. This is obviously at the beginning of the session. The times, obviously, some of the times are, of course, not always going to be up to par, but eventually, over time, we will see faster times. Speaking of, Cornish up to second. Or now, hold up. Sorry. Nikki Fox to the top of the board. A 32.43. Janiah Hill answers back, jumps back up to second on the board. A 33.47. Still a full 10th off of the fastest time as of right now. And there's McGuire in the number 3. Jumps up to third with a 33.10. At least jumps into that top 6 threshold. Crampton now jumps to third. Now it's Jordan Sumner. My goodness, this is changing what feels like by the second, which literally it is. Fox still remains at the top of the board with a 31.90 now, almost into the 29-second bracket. Then Atikian, second with a 2.39, a 2.53. That would be for Jordan Sumner, who we're looking at right now. Then in 4th, that's Travis Crampton with a 2.63, a 2.82 for Kyler Sustry. And Bobby McGuire currently holds on to that final transfer spot. Janiah Hill on the outside looking in as of right now. There's McGuire. Rounding off a turn at number 4. I'm going to try to see if he can improve that time, at least to better his chances of making tonight's show. McGuire would definitely love to be a part of this. Janiah as well. Hill Hill definitely for sure, because she hasn't made a whole lot of races this year. And just a lot of weekends, a lot of WRLA weekends have, unfortunately, Hill's just not had the speed factor on her side at some of these racetracks, but we'll just have to wait and see. She's got a good draft on this number 45 of Atikian, currently second fastest. Atikian is still with that 239. Gondillo, who started off the session as the fastest, now finds himself ninth with a 378. Munsell with a 391. Cornish with a 384 in 10th. Michael DeFeo with a 396. McClure with a 30.4. Then a 4.07 for Ajax Fitzgerald. Apologies there, had a little bit of a phlegm buildup. Almost halfway through the session, but man, I'm not sure where else to really go with this, but you know, it has been quite a season here in WRLA, especially since returning for the first time in a couple of years. But ever since we've gotten past probably about race number 10 on the season, it almost felt like that we've crossed over into uncharted territory, if you will, or really like sort of like the land of the unknown, however you want to put it. Especially since we've never really gotten as far as we have in any season in WRLA history. But obviously, since switching over to doing these races live, that definitely has really helped quite a bit. And it's now, hold up a second, Fitzgerald has now gotten himself inside of the top 6, was 6th, then jumped up to 4th with a 32.58, just barely snagging in the draft off of Jordan Subner. So that kicks McGuire out. Crampton is on the bubble spot, and Josiah Munsell currently is on the outside looking in. Oh boy, that is actually going to be very heartbreaking if neither McGuire or Hill can make this thing. That would just be absolutely gut-wrenching for both of them if they can't make this. But going back to it, this season has definitely been pretty exciting, for definitely to say the least, especially when it comes down to the factor of the stories that we have coming into this. Is Jordan Subner now jumps up to second with a 218. Fitzgerald up to third with a 236. But nonetheless, it has been definitely has been a very exciting season when it comes down to story, when it comes down to, you know, a lot of what's been going on throughout the 2025 season. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the points championship, the championship season, or really the points season, is going to end, as we're going to bring down the curtain on the points paying year here tonight. I mean, of course, after we figure out our 6 drivers that will make the main show, and then set the starting lineup from here after this qualifying session. But I don't even know where else to really go with that. I mean, of course, the stories, you know, when we talk about story, I mean, the point standings coming into this thing are actually very interesting. So for technically speaking, we do have 3 drivers that are eligible for the championship. 4 if you want to count Terry Walker. Of course, Kyle Craven comes into this with 485 points to his name. Of course, he's the points leader. 27 points behind is Russell Blaze with a 458. Then 434 points in third. That would be Skylar Taylor. 1 point back from them. That is Terry Walker. So we do have 3 drivers that have a shot at this championship. Of course, Skylar Taylor and Terry Walker, both, in my mind, would be long shots for this thing. But I think in order for them to be fully eligible for the championship, or at least to at least get a fighting chance, they would indeed have to obviously score all the bonus points. Get the 1 point for leading the lap, 5 bonus points for leading the most laps, and then the 10 bonus points for winning. They would have to get all of those in order to win the championship. There's Fox. Still top of the board after, especially this is after Nicky Fox got 4 fresh tires. Martin Nixon just jumped up to third with a 32.30. And now that puts Kyler Sustry on the bubble spot. Now Travis Crampton on the outside looking in. Coming up on 3 minutes to go. Here in this knockout qualifying session. So far, not a lot of change is taking place. But, I mean, as far as Cornish, there's Joshua Cornish. Cornish has also been on a roll as of late. I mean, in almost every race that we've seen Cornish in, he's had some shot at winning races. He's had some shots at winning races and, you know, and has come up very, very short. But it would be very interesting if Joshua Cornish is able to pull off a win before the season is done and over with. Obviously, it probably isn't going to be tonight. More than likely, it will not be tonight, but either Charlotte or Pocono, he could have a chance at winning his first Pepsi Cup race since Phoenix and the winner of 2020. 2 minutes to go. Two of the hometown favorites amongst the part-time field. A 33.10 for McGuire, a 33.47 for Hill. So right now, things are definitely looking pretty sour for the McGuire Motorsports entry. But the blessing for these two is that they are full-time for next year. So they'll be able to make all the races in the 2026 WRLA season once we get to that point. I'm sure McGuire is going to be pretty bummed, but you have to imagine, you have to imagine that he is thinking ahead. He's thinking very far ahead to next year and thinking, well, we're going to be a part of all the races next year, so what do I have to lose? And even then, looking past, you know, the unfortunate, the unfortunality, if you want to say that's a word. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it, but unfortunality, we'll make it a word right here, if you will. But is that, you know, yeah, even if you don't make this race, you could still walk out with your chin held high. Yeah, obviously with your chin up, knowing that you're going to be full-time next year. So, of course, Atikins. Oh, Janiah Hill just went to third with a 32.26. That puts Atikian on the bubble spot. And now Skylar Sustry on the outside looking in. 30 seconds have been added. Can McGuire do the same? Oh boy, man, Janiah Hill had said in the past and behind the scenes, man, I haven't really made a lot of these races. She's made quite a few. But tonight is going to be pretty special for Janiah Hill. She's going to make it in. Unfortunately, McGuire is going to miss out. But he's going to have great delight in watching Janiah Hill here tonight as she, along with Nikki Fox, Jordan Sumner, Martin Nixon, Ajax Fitzgerald, and Ray Atikian, will make up the 42-car field for tonight's Ford EcoBoost 400 here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. How about that? How about that? As for Sustry, Crampton, Monsell, McGuire, McClure, Gundillo, Cornish, and DeFeo, they will all have to sit on the sidelines and they will have to get ready for the Coca-Cola 600 on Veterans Day. Obviously, that race and Pocono on the 15th of November. We are making up to complete the 23 race schedule. But man, they'll have to miss out on the final points paying race of the year. But as for Fox, Sumner, Hill, Nixon, Fitzgerald, and Atikian, they're going to have to get ready because qualifying for the Ford EcoBoost 400 is next.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. And now it's time to set the starting lineup for our final points paying race of the WRLA season, the Ford EcoBoost 400. 3 rounds. It's the top 24 that will make it onto round number 2. And for drivers like Kyle Craven, Russell Blaze, Skylar Taylor, even Terry Walker, this is the most important qualifying session that they will ever have in their entire WRLA careers, because this session is going to determine who's going to start off the night with the advantage when it comes to obviously position. But the points, on the other hand, well, for Blaze Skylar Taylor, and also Terry Walker. Again, that's if you want to count him. It's going to be a very, very tall task in order to obviously dethrone Kyle Craven, because the points difference again between Craven and Blaze is a 27-point difference. 27. So all Blaze would have to do is stay out, is obviously get the 1 bonus point for leading a lap and then the 5 for leading the most laps, and try to finish as far out ahead as he possibly can over Craven. But tonight will not be an easy task for any of our championship contenders if they want to take it down Kyle Craven here tonight. March to the top of the board. Actually, no, Skylar Taylor is going to start things off at the top of the board with a 36.54. But as these drivers filter their way out on the track, the times will get ever so faster as this session goes on. This is definitely going to be a very, very interesting night tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. Very happy to see everybody here. Of course, if you are brand new to the WRLA YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We do go live specifically for qualifying here on the YouTube channel. But if you want to catch the racing action, it is live here tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch. This is going to be the race that you do not want to miss. 134 laps of action here tonight, and it's going to be fun. Braden Perez top of the board with a 33.48. Emily Anderson second with a 4.53. Then Fitzwater with a 5.08, just a little bit behind the NS Racing car, who has had the points lead for quite some time to kick off the season. Obviously, that would later on get dethroned by Terry Walker for a while, and now Kyle Craven holds on to the points lead and could potentially win the championship if all goes accordingly. Man, that bubble spot is just changing ever so almost rapidly. Now Wyatt Walker on the outside looking in. It was Bruno Diacomo just a little bit ago, but now it's Wyatt Walker in the number 19 with a 36.64, tied with Bruno Diacomo. The millionth of a second is what's making the difference between the two. But Walker holding onto the bubble spot. Not anymore. Not anymore. It is now Claire Phillips. Now it's Stephen Colon. So many drivers just cycling through the position, just literally cycling as of right now. Cycling through, as you know, there are some drivers that are getting better, that are obviously putting down better laps than what they did previously. Other times, not so much. So far, our championship contenders, if you're wondering exactly where they're at currently, with 5 minutes to go, Skylar Taylor currently sitting in the 15th position. He's in a good spot to transfer on to the next round. And then our top two in the point standings, Russell Blaze, 41st with a 782. And Kyle Craven's already put down a lap. He's 31st with a 668 as of right now. So qualifying is not looking all that great for our top two in the championship. But for drivers like Skylar Taylor and even Terry Walker, I mean, Terry right now is 29th with a 675. And there's Russell Blaze, that number 69. He's another hometown favorite. Of course, he's from Florida, so Daytona and Miami would definitely be considered his home tracks. So maybe a hometown advantage for Russell Blaze coming into tonight. could very well benefit him. Perez still at the top of the board with a 348. Now Sebastian Vaughn jumps up to second. He is about 6/1000ths of a second back. And Ajax Fitzgerald up to third. Anderson fourth. Andrew Ramsey completes your top. What in the world is happening to Noah Clifton? Sir, I don't think you can park there. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, no, Noah. No, Noah Clifton absolutely just... Oh, no. He's stuck in the pit wall. That is a tough break. That is a tough break for Noah Clifton. Oh, no. Oh, that is so unfortunate there for Noah Clifton. He currently, as of right now... That's why he didn't even make a lap. Oh no. So he will be credited with 42nd if he's not able to get out on the track. Oh my God, that is unbelievable. But so unfortunate. It's kind of funny at the same time given the landscape of NR 2003. But unfortunate at the same time if you're thinking realistically for Noah Clifton, because then that means he's not going to be able to put down a lap, and he will be credited with a 42nd starting position. Just a little update on where everybody's at. Blaze still 41st, Craven still 31st, so neither of those drivers are going to be moving on to round number 2. Only driver that is currently in position to move on, that would be Skylar Taylor, sitting 15th on the board as of right now with that 35.66. Nathan Stapleton actually doing pretty well here in this qualifying session as of right now, a 35.50. Stapleton obviously probably having himself a really great comeback to end off the 2025 season. Such an amazing comeback here for Stapleton. So he is in very good position to move on to round number 2. Cologne still on the outside looking in with that 641. And then Claire Phillips on the outside looking in with a 652. Janiyah Hill's hopes of moving on to round 2 are still alive. A 607 for her. And then a 633 for Nia Steidel. Caleb Rose in there with a 614. With less than 1 minute remaining here in round number 1 of Ford EcoBoost 400 qualifying. Ooh, this is another thing that we're going to have to watch out here for, is that almost all these drivers are really going to want to use that high line. And there is a possibility that some drivers will absolutely overshoot the corner entry into turn 3, and then just walk up the racetrack and smack the wall. So that will be something to keep an eye on throughout this race, especially as the tires start to wear out. Those drivers will be absolutely getting that Miami stripe. Kind of like the Darlington stripe, but you're going to get it here in Homestead, Miami. An additional 30 seconds was just added. They're now down to their last 15 seconds, but I do not see any other changes that are going to take place within the next 7 seconds. So, our round 2 field is officially set. Cologne, his chances are going to live to fight another day. Skylar Taylor's going to move on. But as for Kyle Craven, he just moved up to 30th, but that's not going to be enough for him to move on to the second round. Russell Blaze still 41st, but that's 782. So, unfortunately, all but Skylar Taylor are not going to move on to round number 2. So our championship favorites, our championship contenders, really to be more specific, they're going to be starting out back here for this race. Unless if your name is Skylar Taylor, your chances of getting in the best starting spot possible live to fight another day. And this is your top 24 right here from 25th on down. That is where they will be starting for tonight's Ford EcoBoost 400. So, ladies and gentlemen, now that we know our top 24, it's time to get things ready for round number 2. So, we'll have that action for you coming up after this break.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. This time, it is for round number 2 of WRLA Pepsi Cup Series qualifying from here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Round number 2 officially underway. Caleb Rose, first driver out on the racetrack. Caleb Rose was one of those drivers that did not have a good start off to the year. Was pretty much at the very bottom of the points ladder. For the most part, was dead last in the points standings for a good little bit. But then we got about halfway through the season and Rose just started coming to life. Getting up as high as top 15 in the point standings, but unfortunately, as we've progressed onto this particular stage of the year, he just started dropping and dropping and dropping all the way back to where he is at this juncture of the points paying season right now. And ladies and gentlemen, that is, we're gonna go check out, I mean, obviously look at exactly where he stacks up coming into this race. 32nd in the point standings. So unfortunately, Rose is, I don't think is, I mean, the best way for Rose to cap off his 2025 point season obviously would be with a win. Appalachia Motorsports already got that with Bruno Diacomo earlier this year at Watkins Glen. But Rose trying to see if he can end off his 2025 point season with a win. And really trying to end off the whole season with a win. Because remember, we still have Charlotte and Pocono on the 11th and 15th. So there's still 2 races to make up. Steidl to the top of the board with a 30.713 to kick things off. Andrew Ramsey absolutely scraping the wall. But Steidl looking pretty stout as of right now, a 677. And now Zachary Fitzwater jumps up to the top with a 639. So Fitzwater looking pretty hot here in round number 2. The 2 EGI cars of Steidl and also Anderson, second and third, still respectively. Janiah Hill doing pretty well here in this session. Currently 6th on the board with a 728. So far, no improvement there, but Fitzy managed to get himself a better time with a 547, a 591 now for Sebastian Vaughn. Nathan Stapleton jumps up to third with a 645. And your final round, obviously the top 12 move on to our final round, which those 12 will fight for the pole. So far, Andrew Ramsey holds on to that bubble spot with a 753, and Andrew Miller, now it's Caleb Rose who holds on to that final transfer spot. Ramsey now on the outside looking in. That's going to keep cycling here. I think Diacomo just jumped up to 7th. Now Miller jumps up to 5th. Actually, I'm trying to keep track of what's happening here. Braden Perez now on the outside looking in. Or, well, is about to be here eventually if somebody else gets a faster time. Janiah Hill's starting to slide down towards that point. But Perez currently holding on to that bubble spot. But for how much longer, though, is going to be the question. Whether it be you mean that in a good way or whether if you mean that in a bad way. It could go either or. But as of right now, Perez holds on to that final transfer position to get into the final round of qualifying here at Homestead, Miami. So far, Fitzy still holds on to that top spot with a 547. Sebastian Vaughn second with a 591. Stapleton with a 645. Then Ajax Fitzgerald with a 658. Miller with a 664, a 677 for Steidl, a 691 for Emily Anderson, 693 for Bruno Diacomo, and then a 701 each for Ryan Little and Eric Monaco. They're both tied. Obviously, the millionths of a second factor is going to make the difference. Then it's Hill and Perez that would all move on to the final round if the session were to end right now. But things are looking pretty strong. If you're somebody like Zachary Fitzwater, for instance. The speed factor could very well be on his side here for tonight. Maybe strategy. Fitzwater's been a part of WRLA competition since 2017, that's very first year on the scene of NR 2003. Drove for Fire Ice Racing in a number 44 Wilson Security Ford Mustang. Pretty good chance that we could see a Wilson Security Ford Mustang for a Wilson Security Chevy SS for Zachary Fitzwater. That's when he drove for Fire Ice Racing at the time. And then ever since then, he's switched over to NS Racing, getting signed on. Wilson Security followed. And then here in the big 2025, obviously NS Racing, since they switched to Chev, they were a Ford team when they came on the scene in the first year of competition for WRLA 2017. NS Racing was a Ford team. Then 2020 and 23, they were Chevrolets. They fielded Chevrolets, and now here we are in 2025. They have circled back to Ford, and as of right now, especially in the late stages of this season, in the closing stages of the season, NS Racing is coming to life. Stapleton has had himself a masterful comeback. Now finds himself, coming into this race, Stapleton finds himself 21st in the points standings. He could just barely break inside of the top 30 all year. And now with a very masterful run, that began all the way back in Atlanta, Stapleton has really come back. And I'm actually very happy to see that he's going to be able to end off his points paying season strong. But I think he's looking to end off the year in a very, very big way heading into 2026. NS Racing, there's no changes in their driver lineup, so they are going to be a fully secured and locked team heading into the next year. And I'm very, very poised to see what kind of tricks that Stapleton and NS Racing are going to have in their bag for 2026. Andrew Miller jumps up to second with a 583. There he is. Might have snagged a little draft from Bruno Giacomo. In order for that to happen, Perez still holding on to that bubble spot still. Now 3/1000ths of a second behind is Nicky Fox, currently on the outside looking in with 20 seconds remaining. Looks like Hill's chances of going for the pole position are still alive. But they're going to have to stay alive here for the next 30 seconds coming up. Aaron Abel scraping that outside wall, getting that Miami stripe. 30 seconds, and then we'll know exactly who will be fighting for the pole. And there's Hill. Her chances of winning, obviously, winning the pole here tonight are very much so alive, but her chances of winning this race, well, we're going to have to find out later on tonight if that's going to be a possibility. But she will be fighting for the pole along with Fitzwater, Miller, Vaughn, Stapleton, even Fitzgerald, Steidel, and Anderson, and Giacomo, Little, Eric Monaco, and as well as Braden Perez barely holding on by 3/1000ths of a second over Nicky Fox. Skylar Taylor, who managed to actually move on into the second round. See where Skylar Taylor stacks up. It's going to be 21st here for Skylar Taylor, but still a pretty decent starting position here for the 41 camp. So they're going to be starting off with the advantage as far as starting position is concerned, but as far as points, that I mean, obviously Skylar Taylor, and even again, if you want to count Terry Walker, is going to have a very, very tough road ahead of them if they want to win this championship. Again, they're going to have to score all the bonus points and win the race if they are going to have any sort of shot at the 2025 championship. But as far as here tonight, as far as right here in the now, it is time to figure out who will win the poll. Will it be any of the NS Racing cars? Will it be Sebastian Vaughn? Will it be any of the EGI cars of Seidel and Anderson? Or will the hometown favorite in this scenario, Janiah Hill, win the poll to end off? Well, I mean, really to kick off for championship weekend for the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series side. More on that when we come back after this break.
If you want to watch a stream, you have to be ad-free because he gives you like 3 in an hour or minute. Please just do what he wants and he will give you the victory royale because he is very good at Fortnite. Not really, I'm just kidding. Yeah, he is really good at Fortnite. Yeah, he is good at Fortnite.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Who will win the poll for the Ford EcoBoost 400, our final points-paying race of the 2025 WRLA season? All the drivers getting ready to go. Getting a little bit of last-minute debriefing before they send the cars out, turn them loose. But it should be a very, very interesting session here tonight. Emily Anderson heading out right now. First car out on the racetrack to kick off our final round of qualifying here at the Homestead Miami Speedway. So we know for our championship contenders, they're going to have a very, very long road ahead of them if they're going to dethrone Kyle Craven. For Craven himself, obviously, if he wants to at least score one more win, he's going to have himself a long road ahead of him. But yes, this I would say there's a lot. The stakes could not get any higher for any of our other 2 to 3 contenders. This is going to be very interesting. This will be a very interesting night here in Miami. Emily Anderson kicks it off with a 31-117. Then Ryan Little moves it up to a 31-008. There's our NS Racing car, Stapleton and Fitzwater. They're heading out right now. Andrew Miller following, not too far behind. Then there's Janiah Hill in the 7. Sebastian Vaughn is yet to come out. So he is the only driver that is yet to make his way out on the racetrack right now. Little putting down a little bit more of a solid lap, a 30.778. And here comes Vaughn. So now we're going to have all 12 of our contenders for the pole out on the racetrack. Little comes off 4. Let's see if he can put down a better time. And he does by 0.06 of a second. He now has a 37.18. Then a 7.91 for Emily Anderson in the number 4 machine. There's Seidel. Braden Perez to the top of the board, a 36.07. Anderson 4/1000ths of a second quicker with a 6.03. Bruno Diacomo jumps up to 3rd with a 6.48. Ryan Little still with that 7.18, but I wouldn't quite count him out here because he could still put down a better time. Looks like Anderson's going to peel off, come on down to pit road. She knows she's definitely done her job, at least momentarily. Sebastian Vaughn across the stripe. Jumps up to 7th with a 7.62. Or now 8th, actually. Janiah Hill, currently 5th on the board with a 7.13. As of right now, closing in on the 5 minutes remaining mark, Emily Anderson would still win the pole. Then Braden Perez would start outside. Bruno Diacomo, Zachary Fitzwater, they would make up the 2nd row. Then in row 3, there would be Sebastian Vaughn and even Janiah Hill. Then in row number 4, that would be Ajax Fitzgerald and Ryan Little. Stapleton and Monaco would make up the top 10, and then Steidel and Andrew Miller would start in the 6th row. This is all with 5 minutes to go, by the way, so our qualifying has not yet been finalized. So there is still plenty of time for these drivers to lay down a fast enough lap that will get them the pole position here for tonight's final points paying race of the year here in Homestead, Miami. So far, I haven't really seen any other improvements from any of these other contenders. I mean, at least as of right now. Fitzwater, of course, had the speed in round number 2. Can't quite replicate it here for the final round, but still a good starting position nonetheless for Fitzwater. It would definitely be a great starting position for Zachary Fitzwater. As for Nathan Stapleton, a 9th place starting spot for him. And again, I'm actually very happy to see that NS Racing is starting to have a big turnaround. I think it definitely started at Atlanta for sure, with Noah Clifton winning at Atlanta. Nathan Stapleton coming home inside of the top 10. And then from then on, NS Racing has just been getting faster and faster and better in the later stages of the year, because they know, hey, we're kind of eliminated from championship contention. So realistically speaking, what do we have to lose? Let's just go out and try to earn as much as we can before we get ready and prepped for the next season, 2026. Stapleton has definitely taken full advantage of that. Fitzwater, he's been consistent all year this year. So for him to be exactly where he is in points and to have the speed that he's been having all year, it's been kind of a given for him. But I am very excited to see if Fitzwater is able to win. I've been excited for that for a very long time because Fitzwater was able to get his first NRLA McDonald's Cup Series win last year at, of all places, Watkins Glen, after so many years. But now here we are in WRLA competition. He is yet to score a win. Stapleton has yet to score a win since 2020. So he has 2 wins to his resume. Of course, Stapleton won at Martinsville in 2017, then won on a last lap pass when he passed Salmon Oskin on the final lap. Oskin was running out of fuel. Might have been down a cylinder. And that's what allowed Stapleton to run Salmon Oskin down and get around him on the final lap to win an Auto Club. But Stapleton has not seen victory lane since then. He would definitely love to change that here tonight. Steidel jumps up to 10th with a 785, kicking Monaco now out of the top 10. 90 seconds to go. And so far, I really have not seen a lot of other changes within side of the top 10, unless if your name is Nia Steidel, who broke into the top 10 just moments ago. But Anderson bringing her car back on down pit road. Perez still out there with 1 minute remaining. For Ryan Little, currently 8th on the board with a 718, and take a good long gander at Ryan Little's car, because after this year, they will no longer be a Chevrolet team. They will add a 3rd car to their camp and switch over to Fords. Still unknown on who that 3rd driver is going to be, or really an NWO reference. If you know, you know who the 3rd driver will be. Almost like a who's the 3rd man reference. You know, obviously from the WCW days back in 1996 when the NWO was under the process of being created. 30 seconds have been added. Some of these drivers can put down one more good lap to try to win the pole or get themselves the best possible starting position. That would honestly be the better option at this rate. Hill snagging a draft off of Miller, but definitely is not going to be enough for Janiah Hill to win the pole, but good enough to start 6th. So Emily Anderson will be starting on the pole for the final race of the season. Braden Perez is going to line up alongside. Then in row 2, it's going to be Bruno Diacomo and Zachary Fitzwater. Row 3, we'll see Sebastian Vaughn and Janiah Hill. Row 4 will be Ajax Fitzgerald and Ryan Little. And completing your top 10, that would be Nathan Stapleton and Nia Steidel. Row 6 will consist of Eric Monaco and Andrew Miller. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Your starting lineup is officially set for the 2025 points season finale, the Ford EcoBoost 400. Race number 21. Of course, again, just as a reminder, we are still moving on with the championship race as scheduled, and then making up the Coke 600 and then our event at Pocono, which they were supposed to be run back in May, but obviously due to other things behind the scenes, we had to move them to the back end of the season. So those 2 races will be made up. But nonetheless, that's a long time from now. Points by that time would be finalized, because tonight we are going to be crowning a champion. Will it be Kyle Craven? Will it be Russell Blaze, Skylar Taylor, or will Terry Walker be the ultimate long shot to win this thing? There's a lot of questions that have yet to be answered, and they're all going to be answered tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time on Twitch. Thank you guys a lot for watching this qualifying session. If you guys like this, be sure to hit that like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be one action-packed night. Have yourselves a fantastic rest of your day, and we'll see you all tonight for the Ford EcoBoost 400, the final points race of 2025. It's going to be fun. Who will be the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series champion? Find out tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Have a great rest of your day, y'all. We'll see you tonight for the Ford EcoBoost 400.